Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Hey everybody, today's guest is a 25-year-old fitness leader based in Calgary, but originally from Toronto. She has become known, and I mean seriously, for her killer glutes and high energy, along with her role as a fitness coach and entrepreneur who motivates and guides individuals with achieving their fitness goals. She is entering her first season as an IFBB Pro, actually in prep for her pro debut, and I'm excited to talk to her about that. So welcome to the show, Shenese Case. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. So good.
Good. I'm so glad you're here. Like I said, just going to be an absolute pleasure and glad that we have made this happen. And you know that I got to ask you before we get into everything else, if there's something you do or a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage.
Oh, yes. Girl, music is life. So
Really?
until I get onto that stage, I have my headphones in until I hit that stage. And whoever is helping out backstage, I just ask them kindly if they can hold my headphones. Like when it's my turn, that is when it comes out.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So you just hand it over to the expediter like, all right, thank you. I'll come and grab these later.
Yes. I just feel like, you work so hard. It's so easy to get caught up in anxiety and just stress in that day.
Yeah.
And whatever brings you joy, like music for me, is what's going to help calm my nerves. So when I'm done listening to my song and I get on stage, I feel like I'm floating.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I think last year, the song before the stage was South of the Border, Cardi B.
Okay.
And I can't forget, I actually can't remember the other artist, but yeah, that was the song. I don't know what this year's song will be, but just a pump up song. And I will put it on repeat for like the entire day.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. So you literally just listen to the same song the whole day to pump you up and get you in that mindset of stepping on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to hear what your song ends up being, especially given it's going to be your pro debut.
Oh, yeah. It's going to have to be. Right now, I've been practicing my posing to Beyonce
Yes.
because I've been told that I just need to bring up my presentation. So just more personality, the confidence is there, but obviously you can be more, you can bring more.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like sometimes I'm a little shy and timid I think that I might be doing too much when I'm actually not doing enough. So I've been listening to Beyonce to help bring up that energy and bring out more of that sassy personality that is hidden.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually like really curious about that because you're on Team Atlas, which means you're likely working with Angeline and Jennifer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what have they been doing, or what has Angeline been doing, or the feedback you've been getting from James and Jen as well to help you with that?
So it's probably been a year and a half now working with the team. Absolutely best decision. I coached myself before for 3 years, and one of the head judges in Canada told me that you just need a coach. You just need a coach to show you what you're not seeing. So another set of eyes really helped. So reached out to James, and I've been a part of the team since. And honestly, they are so detail oriented from the hair to the toenails.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I first signed up, I had a gold bikini, red hair. He's like, lose it, lose it. Like no red hair, that gold bikini retired, have not pulled it out since. Transformed. Angeline, honestly, with my posing, I honestly every day get better. I send check-in videos every single day. Check-in videos, she critiques me, and I work on it. And I feel like because it's, for me, mandatory to send those in every day, it's not like I can slip or I can be like, oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow, right? No,
Yep.
it's like if I don't do it, where's your video?
Yes, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about that too is because you're posing every day and you're receiving that feedback from her, then you know what you have to work on, and she's going to know if you worked on it or not, because if you're repeating the same thing, you know, the next day or over the next couple days, she's going to be like, well, what am I giving you feedback for?
Exactly. Yeah. Then it's like a waste of time, and that you're not really putting in that work, right? You put in that work, but you can always push yourself to the limits. Like when I get up to do my posing routine videos, they're like 4 o'clock in the morning before I go and teach, right? So I don't have any energy. For
Right.
4 o'clock in the morning, I'm tired. But it's what I got to do because it's what I want, it's what I enjoy. However, the time of day is just like not the greatest, but because it's a fasted state and it's the easiest way to see my body, and the shape of it in its fasted state, that's why I get up and do it before I go through the day drinking water and putting food into my body, right? So
Yeah.
it's not the easiest, but we just got to get it done.
Absolutely. And you're so committed to the goal. So it's like, of course, you're going to wake up and do it. And plus, I sometimes would practice like posing at different times of the day or when I was feeling really tired just to make sure I could get myself up, because you never know how you're going to feel on show day. So I think it's good to practice in those states where you actually have to shift your energy.
Exactly. That is exactly what Angeline had said too. She's
Hmm.
like, practice through different times of the days, you know, and see where your energy is at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As long as I put Beyonce on, the energy will come out. However, 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to hear any music.
Yeah. Oh, I feel you on that. Sometimes I'm like, if I listen to this too early, I'm gonna hate this song.
Ooh, no, yeah. When I'm coaching and I put a song on, I'm like, this is a little too aggressive for 6 a.m. Nope.
Yes, I understand that. And you were prepping yourself for 3 years before you decided to start working with them. You said that they're very detail oriented, from head to toe. What else is the major difference between when you started working with them to, or I guess between that and when you were prepping yourself, and how that's influenced your placings or feedback and all that good stuff?
So even before them, I was placing very, very well, um, even on my own. But I knew that I could take myself further if I had a better set of eyes. And it's like any mentorship, right? If you invest in a mentor, you'll get better. That's how you learn.
Mhm.
So honestly, James, Angeline, Jennifer have like, they've been a blessing. Um, my physique has never looked any better because like, uh, my shoulders, I actually never liked training upper body because I was so insecure about having muscles like biceps,
Mhm.
shoulders. Like, what is that? And then he's like, no, Shanice, like, your glutes are pretty big. Your lower half is good, but your upper half needs to match so it's more proportionate. And then, yeah, he reconstructed my training program so that I was more balanced. So now I train my shoulders 3 times a week. I still train glutes 3 times a week. Um, but then certain muscle groups I don't train at all, like quads. So he's transformed a lot of things that I do and don't do anymore. Um, Angeline is just, it's nice that you can book in with her, have that one-on-one intimate session of posing where she takes that time to break down like your walk, your smile. You know what I mean? Like with me,
Mhm.
oh, sometimes I can have a resting bitch face, or I'll treat it like a fashion show. And it's like, oh, smize here. But no, you need
Yeah.
to show your teeth. Um, and so even the faces that you make when you're posing, and my back post too, like when I first started, they're like, stop, you look like you're shitting. Sorry. Right. So I was
You're
like,
good.
oh, no. I was like, okay, stand up taller, right? So certain things that were my bad habits have now been broken.
Love that. That's awesome. And I want to even go back to what you said about the training and how you've transformed the way that you train in the gym. What would you say? I mean, you said you don't train quads and you started training upper body. So if you're not training quads, are you trying to avoid hitting them altogether? Are you doing mostly okay? So what's like your training split like, or maybe what's your favorite way to train your glutes then?
So usually I'll split up with glutes and hamstrings twice a week, and then just one full day of isolated glutes. And then I'll do shoulders and like the anterior and the medial shoulders with maybe arms. And then I'll do back and rear delts. And then I'll do all three muscle sections in the shoulders on one day. So like a training split between 6 days.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love that. And so there's this question that we like to ask on this show, which is if you could only pick one exercise to do for the rest of your life, for shoulders and then one for glutes and then one for hamstrings, what would you pick for each?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Hip thrusters for glutes. I love leg curls for hamstrings.
Like seated or lying?
I like the seated.
Yeah.
You know, I would say deadlifts, but sometimes I'm lazy. So a girl just wants to sit down.
Yeah.
So, you know, so yeah, seated curls with a pause at the descend part. So
Mm.
when you bring in the knee, you bend your leg,
Yeah.
pause there, and then a slow ascent on up. So like that. And then for shoulders, ooh, ooh, oh, I think I posted this on my story yesterday. So like it's a front hammer curl, seated press. So you'll have the dumbbells stacked together, and then you're pressing them together overhead. So you can overhead press hammer style.
Awesome. Okay, got it. I totally understand what you're saying. So that's pretty awesome. And you have an interesting split. You hit glutes and hams 2 times. One day is isolated glutes, and then you mix up the way you hit your shoulders and arms with your back, and then one day of just shoulders. So you've really modified it to, of course, build the physique that you need to bring. Now, what has the feedback been that you've been working towards now that you're in preparation for your pro debut?
Feedback from
Judges, like your last show, like what they say you needed to bring
oh,
before hitting the pro stage.
my midsection.
Okay, what they say.
midsection, midsection, upper body conditioning, which I feel like it's always conditioning. Um, for my midsection, I actually had no control because, like, randomly, as soon as I got my pro card, time of the month happened, like an hour later.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, well, I'm about to go and do Van Pro for fun. And yeah, so girl, that was just a fun time. So yeah, they're like midsection. So we've been working on the midsection. So I try and do vacuums 3 times a day. So morning, night, and anytime during the day. Sometimes before my workout, actually, because then I feel like having my waist tighter before my workout will keep my core engaged more throughout my workout, and not reliant on the belt that I wear. Um, so that, and then conditioning, I feel like we're in a good spot right now, just because during my off season, I kept within like my diet and very clean. I did have cheat meals, but I kept it like a clean bulk so that my on season wouldn't be so difficult. So it's been not bad. Right now, the third week, I'm like, okay, now the carbs are dropping. And the cardio is literally 40 minutes. So it's not that bad. I've done before like an hour and a half of cardio. So right now it's okay.
Oh, girl, trust me. I know what you are experiencing and going through. As we get closer to shows too, some of us have to do that, and it's about doing what needs to be done, right? We don't complain, we just get it done, and that's what you're doing. And I know you have your show coming up on the 19th, which is awesome because we'll be competing the same day,
Thank
which excites
you.
me.
Yes.
But talk to us about that because you're going to have to travel from Canada to the States. So, how do you feel about having to travel to Tampa to compete and travel internationally to really work your way up as a pro and get qualified for the O?
I know. The minute 2020 started, I was like, I know I can be on that Olympia stage. I believe that I can. If I work, you know what? If anyone works to something that they know they can achieve, there's no way you can't get it. You know what I mean? So I know I can set that out for myself. If I want to be on that stage, I will do my best to be on that stage. So whatever I got to do is whatever I got to do. Luckily, I work with an amazing group of women and a nice team here in Calgary. So I'm able to travel and go over there and compete. And then I'll be headed home to Toronto for family stuff for 14 days to do my quarantine there. So at least I'll be with my mom.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. So, are you referring to like what you do for work when you say that you're able to travel to do that?
Yeah, so I do online coaching and then I also am an F45 coach.
Oh.
So very flexible, early mornings. I love what I do. Um, and then I'm very hands-on there as well, but I work a lot. So I'm able to do these shows and just travel and go away and then get back into it, go away and get back into it.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, you're really committed to all your goals and showing up the way you need to in order to make them happen. And I know you had mentioned too before we started recording that you had really wanted to do the Ben Weider Naturals. And then, of course, 2020 started happening and those things changed. So, what was the inspiration behind the Ben Weider Naturals?
It was nice, like to go home, and do a show in like in Canada and in my hometown,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that would have been fun. I actually might end up doing it. So we shall see.
Yes.
Um, yeah, how I'm feeling if I want to continue prepping longer or what happens after the show. But yeah, I was like, I would love to go home. I'd love to do a show in my hometown. Obviously, there's the Toronto Pro and there's Vancouver Pro. Um, but yes, I was like, why not? It was the closest one because Toronto Pro, I believe they pushed it even further, and Vancouver was canceled. So I was like, okay,
Yeah, and it is pretty cool that
yeah,
it's a natural show.
there are no shows in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's what's interesting is that like Canadian athletes have to be willing to travel internationally in order to earn points. And I mean, this happens in a lot of different countries, that's the case, but especially in Canada. And I don't know, I find that very interesting. Do you have any idea why it's not, is it just not so popular there? Is it
Um, I have no idea. First, I think we only have one natural IFBB Pro show in all of the IFBB
yeah.
events, and it has to be in Canada. Um, and then, like, yeah, Canada only really has 3 or 4 pro shows a year.
Crazy.
Yeah. And we have about 2 or 3 pro qualifiers. So it's actually harder
Yeah, it's
in Canada.
competitive.
Yeah, it's so competitive. It's a lot harder. They judge you harder too. Um, uh, and then when you go to the States, it's like there's a show every weekend.
Mhm.
So,
But you
yeah.
know what's awesome about that is the Canadian athletes are on point. Like you guys bring it. You know what I mean? Because of those standards, I think that that's created higher quality, not that there's not high quality American athletes, that's not what I'm saying, but you know what I mean? Like you have people like yourself, you have people like Jennifer Dory, and I mean, there's a lot of girls I've brought on here too, but it's like that standard is different.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about what you mentioned too, which was you were pretty on point in your improvement season, and you said you did more of like a clean bulk. So, what's the difference for you between your preps and your improvement seasons, and why in this one did you take that approach?
Oh my goodness. So I was actually showing James my before photos before starting with him
Yeah.
last year. And I was like, oh my goodness, look at my off-season body. Like I was swollen. I was just eating
Yeah.
bad foods, like the sodium. You could just see it bursting. Like it was disgusting looking, like obviously thick in the right areas, but it was just like when I look
Puffy.
at my fluffy, yes. When I look at myself now, I'm like, oh, I can actually see that I put on muscle mass instead of fat,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I did get maybe 10 pounds over stage weight, which I actually don't really look at the scale throughout seasons. I really don't, just because I believe like if you work at it and you just are, I just manifest through my body, like you're going to do this. Like you're going to lose the weight that you need to as you do what your coach tells you to do.
Yeah.
If you follow the instructions, then you don't have to worry about it until like the 2 or 1 week mark. Then I'm like, okay, is this scale where it needs to be? Is it dropping the way that we need before we get the refeed, and before we start the carb up? So yeah.
I love that. I think that that's really key, actually, that point right there of if you're doing what you need to do and you trust your coach, why stress?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like your coach gives you a plan to follow, and some people don't follow the plan or cut corners,
Yeah.
right? And at least if you're gonna cut corners, like let me tell you, girl, I'll cut corners with maybe 2 extra tablespoons of peanut butter and a rice cake. And then I'll be like, okay, crap, now I gotta go burn these calories. But I know if I did it this week or anything closer to the show, ooh, I'm about to get torn up.
Mhm.
So it's just like, but certain things you choose, like some people would just go for a McFlurry. And it's like, you actually cannot go for a McFlurry. Like certain foods, you can't choose. Like I can't even have stevia or like certain sugars right now, right?
Right.
Coffees, right? So certain things you just got to choose which one you go for. Like a tablespoon of peanut butter I don't actually feel guilty about having, but if I was like, I'm gonna have a protein donut today, let's like, that one right there is like, okay, now you're pushing it.
Well, I like to think of it like there's a different mentality required in prep than in your improvement season. And so, like, personally in prep for me, like, I just will not like go off plan, like nothing.
Exactly.
Won't, no extra almond, no extra bite, no nothing, because I don't want to step on that stage and be like, well, not, let's say, you don't place or whatever. Not only did I not place, but also didn't give everything I could to this prep. That would really suck. Yeah, that would be the worst feeling ever. So I've never wanted to feel that. I don't plan to ever feel that way. When I stepped on stage this past weekend, it was like I didn't place. I did not place well. I did not place top 5 or anything, but I left very proud of myself, and I knew that I committed 100% for like months and months and months. And so I think that if we remember that in prep, a different level of discipline and commitment to the program is required, uh, then that also makes it, easier to do that, I think, in the improvement season as well. We can stay committed to our goals and know that it's very possible.
Honestly, every time I prepare for a show, I'm like, I need to beat me,
Yes.
beat who I was the last time I stepped on that stage, because it's not about the competitors beside you. It's about you already want a victory with yourself. Things that you
Mhm.
go through daily battles, and you still have to do your cardio, you still have to prep your food, and you still get it done. You've won so many victories right there. You're already a winner, and on top, Celeste, you got on the stage through COVID. Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like this year is already canceled and we are still making it happen. So like that right there. But the main goal is to be better than you were the last time you stepped on that stage. Right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
yeah.
That's it. I love that. And I'm so glad that, there's a lot of athletes who can see it that way and who preach that and who genuinely live and breathe it. And you have talked about your why, your what, and your how in bodybuilding. And I love the way you phrase this. And do you mind sharing it on the podcast with us, like how you realize these were your driving factors in the sport that keep you going and going?
uh, so like, where should I start?
Let's start with why you do this.
Why? I truly believe like I love pushing myself to limits. It's definitely lit a fire in terms of how I operate and the quality of life that I choose to give to myself, how I treat myself. Um, having a nice body is really nice, but having a better personality and character is even better when you know and you're learning about yourself and giving more to the world. So as I transform myself, I was more finding that I wanted to help other people with their own transformations because I remembered my own beginning. I remembered the insecure girl who was intimidated, who had no confidence, and then just started working out. When I first started working out, I was only training glutes. And then when I got the gist of like a full body workout, I was like, okay, wow, I'm going to transform my body. And that right there transformed my mindset. It transformed the way I ate, the way I thought about myself, who I let into my life, um, and how I serve people now. You know what I mean? Especially
Yes.
being in the fitness community, it's like you got to remember that if you see someone doing something wrong, it's because it's their beginning. You know what I mean? Encourage, support, because it's like we all had a beginning. We're not perfect. We're always learning, evolving, right? So it's definitely changed my mindset, the quality of life. I eat so much better. I feel so much better. My mood is always up. I'm happy all the time. And because I can discipline myself and go through waves of struggle, when something bad happens to me, it's easy for me to blow it off and be like, it's okay, just pick it up. We're going to go, move on,
Yeah.
right? So the way I look at things now, like not a lot of things faze me or get me out of character.
I love that. It's provided you like greater inner strength and this ability to show up differently in the world. And your lifestyle is different because of bodybuilding, which has empowered you and allows you to empower others. And I know that, you talk about how it really changed your life and it changed your lifestyle and how you used to, or maybe you didn't used to, I don't know, like party and drink. It's kept you from doing those things, right?
Definitely not, was never much of a drinker. I did party a lot. And I till this day, I love getting dressed up and going to nice restaurants.
Yeah.
And just like I'm a foodie, okay?
Mhm.
But now I choose balance, right? So, and I make sure that I work for anything I eat. So to look the part, yeah, eat well, and then treat yourself. But it's not going to be like a consistent thing. I always say it just cannot be in your routine to put garbage into your body every single day. Like your
Yeah,
body does not deserve that. You know,
exactly.
yeah. So, yeah, now when I go to restaurants, like I modify certain items. Like if I'm going to I never have a salad. I don't know why I was about to say a salad. If I'm going to have a burger, if
Yes.
I'm going to have a burger, I'm going to modify it. So I'll either do like a lettuce bun with fries, or I'll do the bun and then I'll have like a salad with the dressing on the side or something.
Mhm.
Or if I'm doing a steak dinner, like certain sauces on the side. Um, and I always just put sauces on the side. I feel like all the calories are in the sauces.
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
And that gets you kind of puffy if you're not used to it.
Exactly, yeah. But you know, before I started bodybuilding, yes, I did drink, and that was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. Um,
Mhm.
and then I noticed that when I'm working out, my workouts were not the same. They were shitty. Okay. On top of it, I was wearing makeup to the gym. So they were extra shitty because I was like, I don't want to sweat. I just want to be cute. And my mood is shit because like I'm hungover from yesterday. So it was just terrible.
Yeah.
So overall, I just look at the energy I have now from what I put into my body consistently from where I was coming from. Oh, I could never go back. And now in
Yes.
balance because I know what I want to feel like versus what I don't want to feel like.
Exactly. And you've experienced both. And you've also experienced this positive reinforcement of how these actions are an act of love and appreciation for yourself and for your body. And that's actually helped you to have new standards and expectations, not just from yourself, but from others, I imagine, too.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You say that like, yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness. When I tell you, I feel like with bikini, especially because, yes, even being on social media in a bikini, I feel like sometimes we're misjudged in like, oh, these girls are just like so easy or easy targeted because, yeah, like we have nice bodies and we're probably easy girls. But it honestly changed the whole quality. Like me, quality is everything. So now I know who I accept or give the time of day to, especially if it's a guy. Like
Mm.
certain conversations cannot happen. And just because some people will talk to me a certain way because of the way I look, or the way that they approach me because of Instagram or, yeah, being in the gym, wearing something nice. No,
Mhm.
quality, baby.
Because you're used to giving yourself quality, you can now like fully expect and demand that from others.
Yeah, because I really appreciate the hard work. It's hard work. You know, you don't just wake up and be like, oh, I'm going to do deadlifts and it's going to be easy to do these deadlifts. No, sometimes you go through a workout and you struggle and you sacrifice to, you know, go through that workout even when you're tired. Meal prep, be consistent. It's hard. Not everyone can be consistent, right? And me, the body that I've created, that I fuel every single day, that I'm investing in, that I take time to pray, I take time to meditate and breathe. I feel like quality is just all I need to be surrounded by. People who genuinely understand quality and quality of life, especially, right? Life
Mhm.
is so short. So, yeah.
Yes, I love that. And you're consistent not just in your fitness routine, but in your self-care routine. You talk about meditating, you talk about breathing. So, how did you develop your own personal routine for feeling your best? And what does that look like for you every day?
Ooh, okay, so upon rising, so I'll start with my full day. So upon
Yeah.
rising, I'll say a prayer. Always, even if I'm tired, I'll just say thank you, because especially this year, so much had happened to me, and God showed up on time every time. And I was
Mhm.
like, how is it that I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do to deserve kindness? Like, I know I'm nice, I know I'm a good person, but what did I do for you to show up when I was about to fall? So every morning I wake up, I say thank you, go through gratitude. I have a gratitude book as well, so I journal. Um, and then I have like a moment of meditation where I just go on YouTube, and I found this lady on there called Boohoo Beautiful, Bohu
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'll do like a 5 to 10 minute meditation with her. And it's because I used to hit my snooze button very often. And I was like, you know what? Instead of hitting the snooze button, I'll just meditate because it's going to keep me focused on her, like
Yeah.
listening to what she's saying. So that helps so much. And then I will do my breathing, vacuums, pose, get ready for work, and then head to work. And then my wind down is I literally light a candle, go through my day of how it went, and set my intentions for the next day. So how do I want to show up? How can I improve? Um, Another prayer of thanks, and then I go to bed.
I love that. That is so powerful and awesome. And the fact that you do that every day consistently must make a big difference in your life and the way that you can moderate your energy.
100%. Like meditation has helped so much. I'm always like, my mind is always going like, what do you got to do next? Like, what's the next task? So to slow it down, especially in the morning, is just like, okay, this is your time to yourself, to just be like, okay, I'm going to relax and have a moment to inhale, exhale. We're not on this earth to outwork ourselves and exhaust ourselves. Enjoy those moments because every breath is so precious. Right?
So precious. And wow, there's a few different directions I want to take this because, you know, I think I'll start with like some girls have expressed that they struggle with like maintaining a positive attitude or holding back negative emotions, especially in prep. Sometimes we get a little moody, sleep deprivation, food deprivation, just prep feels, you know. So how do you personally shift your state, you know, to remain that positive light and be a leader?
You know, I have to take moments where I'm just by myself, for sure. Honestly, I remember when I first started of a ex memory, I was like, I don't ever want to be that person that was remembered throughout their prep as the moody person.
Yeah.
I don't feel like if you genuinely enjoy what you're doing, you got to be so fast to shift out of that mindset. Like, you want to represent the sport in any way possible. And I feel like when people hear, oh, you're dieting, they're like, oh, you're probably eating like nothing. You're probably starving. Right? And I'm like, I'm not starving. Like, I'm eating the calories that I'm supposed to be, but based on the amount of cardio that I'm doing, I can see what will look or seem like I'm starving. Right? But I enjoy and I love what I do. So I want to be the best example of this is what I am. This is who I am. I show up. I love it. I do it. Yes, there will be times where I'm like, ooh, but like I have a face, have my sunglasses on, and I'm like tunnel vision. But that's when I'm like walking back to my door and I'm like, hey, I need to probably take a nap, restart, right? But I will personally never take it out on anyone. I will never. I just don't want to be remembered for being a moody person or representing or making the sport look bad when people already think it's like, oh, dieting is so difficult. You know, when you genuinely love what you do, it should just bring you happiness.
Yeah. And how strange if you're like, oh, I love bodybuilding, then all you do is complain. Like when you're in prep, whenever I hear girls do that, I'm like, something's not right. Like you're not doing this for the right reasons. If you can't move through that.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, it's like third week I'm in and I'm like, oh, wow. I didn't think I was going to feel so exhausted. Like before I got on here, girl, I took a 10-minute nap.
Yes.
Usually it's an hour and a half.
Wow.
Okay. But I was working and I was like, okay, I just need to take a nap, like a quick power nap because depleted. So I was like, honestly, you got to love what you do, got to make the best of it and represent in a way where you're inspiring somebody, at least one person a day, you know?
Absolutely.
It's not about getting on the stage. It's about eating better. It's about consistency. It's about pushing yourself through limits. Like when you're tired and you're depleted, girl, I know your last week of workouts were like, oh, this feels heavy. It's probably 5 pounds and it felt heavy. You know what I mean? Because every door to me feels heavy right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
Absolutely.
right?
I was like I always laugh with my family about this. So it's like I can go and run like 7 miles, and I don't want to walk up the stairs. Like that, it's like I'll get up in the morning, ready to go, work out, kill it. But the thought of getting up from my chair, doing like the most random little things, I'm like, no, I can't do it.
Right? Right. Yeah, like when you get closer, you're like, and I was just telling myself, I'm like, how does my body even know that I'm so close? Like,
Yeah,
why?
so
Yeah.
true. And then there's that mental aspect of, well, maybe I'm convincing myself that it's supposed to be more challenging at this time. So then I create that energy, right? Of like, oh, it's
Exactly. So
hard.
that's what I've been trying to just shift and be like, no, girl, you are fine. You are fine. Keep pushing. Eat
Yes,
numbers. You're fine.
absolutely. Perception is
Right?
almost everything. It's so important to shift that and be like, okay, if I associate being depleted with being, weaker, let's say, then I'm gonna feel weaker. But
Exactly.
obviously we can't deny reality. There are obvious realities, but then at the same time, we can modify how we feel in those realities and shift that, because our mindset can be so powerful. And you have an incredible routine that sets you up for success and anchors you to gratitude. And I know that, you said this year was really hard for you. It's been tough for you, and you have used gratitude to channel your energy into the blessings of your life. And you said something which was that every breath is precious. And I know that you suffered a loss this year, and I'm so sorry about that. And um, how have you been doing since then? How has that affected you and maybe your outlook on life, or things that you're going to apply from here forward?
Um, well, honestly, I actually have no idea how I'm doing. In the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, it was like when it first happened, when my dad passed away, I lost it. I was going through a breakup at the same time, moving at the same time. So everything was just chaotic in like 2 weeks. So I lost it. I lost myself. I got so skinny. And then my friend was like, "Oh, girl, you are like so skinny." And I'm like, "Yeah." When I sent a check in to James, he's like, "Wow, you look like you're ready for the stage." I'm like,
Oh
"Ooh,
no.
okay, I need to eat." And I wasn't eating. Um, and honestly, like my friends picked me up, like at my job, like everything I was doing was just like, in the moment, I was like, why is this me? Why is this my life? How is this the timing? Um, and then I haven't dealt with my dad and his passing yet, just because I got right into prep after. I guess I needed a distraction for a second. But I told myself when I'm done my show that I would definitely look into getting a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also want to do a meditation retreat to Bali next year, if
That'd be
2021
awesome.
is not canceled.
Oh God.
But I really want to take this moment in my life to work on healing my soul and healing what happened inside of me. Um, and going through the process of like, okay, so the trip, why it was great to do the Ben Naturals was because I was able to go home once too to do my dad's funeral. So
Yeah.
from Tampa, I fly to Toronto, and then I have a week, and then I will do my dad's funeral and then be there with my family. So that is the entire trip. That's like, I've got a lot planned within 2.5 weeks on top of maintaining a quarantine. So um, honestly, after the show, I do plan on getting a therapist to talk about it. I feel like I'm very strong minded. And like I said, like I don't let a lot of things bother me. Um, I'm very free spirited and just I go with the flow. And I'm always just in a twerk mood. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I'm ever serious unless I'm working. So yeah, I think I just need to like dig a little deeper into my sensitive side and just open up more. Right. So we'll see.
Yes, I am in full support of the therapy idea. Not that it matters what I think, but I just, in the sense of, I believe in therapy. I'm studying to be a clinical mental health counselor. And if there's one thing that's for sure is therapy is for everybody. Strong people, people who are self-motivated, people who already have inner work routines and rituals, like anyone can benefit. And I think it's awesome that it's something you are considering. And the fact that you're also like, how else can I feed my soul? And like doing a meditation retreat and focusing on this prep and fueling what your needs are is so awesome. And you know, you really encourage other women to do the same thing just all the time in your posts and the way you show up. You encourage them to embrace life and the struggles and the successes. And I'm actually curious how being a competitor and focusing on competing has supported you in developing your business of helping others on their fitness journey too.
I always just remember my beginning of how
Mm,
I started, how I felt about myself. I wasn't aware of who I was. I wasn't aware. So many times you see potential in other people, but you don't see the potential in yourself, right? So
mm,
now, like when I first started the bodybuilding journey, it was about finding the potential in Shanice, right? And honestly, I don't think I even found it until like this year. And I'm still working on it because even Angeline was like, you have so much potential. It's in there. It's nothing you can actually like find anywhere else. It's inside you.
yes.
You just need to let go of whatever is holding you back from, if it's in your mind, if it's in your heart. You just got to look in the mirror and really see the potential in yourself and show up. Who do you want to be tomorrow? Right?
Yes.
So that is exactly who I've been trying to step into. Um, and really, through the light of what I do, I always hope to inspire other people that no matter what your past looks like, tomorrow is a new day to become a brand new person. You
Mm,
know, to wake up with a new mindset, new goals, new visions for yourself. And, you know, as this breath is precious, like everything you want to do for yourself, do it. Because that last breath, you don't want to regret that you didn't do it. You know what I mean? You weren't who
exactly.
you wanted to be, or you hid yourself because you were afraid of what other people thought of you, you know? So
Oof.
bodybuilding has helped in a way where it's developed such a strong mindset for me, where it's like I push myself in the gym. I love feeling so strong. Like I don't have to ask another guy to help me lift something. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I can do it myself. You know, in the long term, I can carry my groceries. I can carry a case of water. And I feel so strong. Yes, it's a case of water, but there are people who actually can't carry a case of water,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's so it's like certain things, like putting things together. Like I put my couch together and I was like, oh my God, I didn't have to ask for help. You know, it's okay to ask for help, but when you can do a lot of things on your own, oh God, I feel so powerful.
Yes.
Right. So it's the feeling of knowing that like I'm pushing myself. I don't work out with people who coach me or train me like when I'm training myself. So unless I'm working out with a friend, which is like once a month,
Mm-hmm.
literally like I'm in there getting those last reps, telling myself that even if I'm exhausted, like that last rep, that's the one that counts. You know what I mean? So I don't have a spotter. I got to keep going. And you
Yep.
don't need a spotter. You just need that mindset to tell you if you want those delts, girl, like I need these delts. You
Yes.
need to keep going, right? Keep going, keep pushing. You can
Yes.
do anything you want. You want anything. You just got to put yourself in that mindset to be like, whatever you got to do, you can get it done.
Yes, remove the limits that we place on ourselves, both physically and mentally, like not having a backup plan and removing the thought of not being enough or not fulfilling the potential. And instead, I believe, you know, something you said earlier is that if you really believe in something you're working towards, then the outcome is truly inevitable, right? And I think that if we maintain that type of mindset, then it makes us stronger and we have no other choice but to grow into that version of ourselves and to honor the version of us that we see ourselves becoming. And man, it's just so beautiful what you said about bodybuilding allowing you to see your potential, but also others seeing your potential and almost like borrowing that belief, but also knowing that that strength and the actual creation or manifestation of these outcomes is going to come from you,
Yeah.
and fulfilling that inner peace and knowing that you've done everything you can and that you've become better each day. And I just love that. I think that that's so powerful. And I'm sure that, you know, your clients who you work with and the people who get to use your ebook too benefit this way. And I'm actually wondering, like, how do you support, let's say through your F45 or through your online coaching, others in seeing their potential? Because I'm sure you see it in them the way your coaches see it in you. So how do you help others to see their potential?
I honestly feel like I'm a nagging mom with my online clients because, yeah, they require to check in with me once a week, but I will check in with them like in the middle of the week, like, how are you? How's everything going? Like, how are you doing? Because I feel
Yeah.
like in the middle of the week, like after you've gone through Monday, Tuesday, you're like, oh my goodness, like where is the weekend? So, and you know, sometimes life gets so stressful that sometimes you want to binge eat, sometimes you want to, you know, do the wrong things that you're not supposed to. And so me, I'm like, I gotta just be on them because I'm like, I want to see you succeed, just as my coach always wants to see me succeed. It's just like, I love what I do, and it doesn't hurt to just send a text to be like, how are you today?
Yeah,
That could change their entire day. You know what I mean? So I
absolutely.
love my clients. They're working so hard. And you know what? I feel like being a bodybuilder and even competing, you have to find like diet hacks that a lot of people, even on my off season, I'd be like, oh, what is that? Like, how can I modify this? Like certain protein bars that you can make, or protein pancakes, or things that, you know, the average public doesn't know about that I've introduced, and they're like, oh wow, this is delicious.
Yep.
And it's
Yes.
healthier.
Yes, and it's
Good.
like seeing them have those realizations that like you can enjoy this process. It doesn't have to be what you've been taught dieting or changing your body or your lifestyle is supposed to look
Exactly.
like.
Like bodybuilding, nutrition, lifestyle changes, it is not all about chicken and rice. There is balance. You can
Mm-hmm.
have you can have a turkey bowl, you can have a taco bowl, um, you can have pasta. It's knowing your portion sizes, the time of day when you can consume those. You know, everything goes into, you can still have everything. It's
Yeah.
just in moderation and your portion size, because most people don't actually know their portion size. Like my mom didn't know her portion size. Oh, because we're from the islands. Oh, all the rice, all the yams, give
Mm-hmm.
me all the gravy. And I was like, Mom, no. So now she'll send me pictures of her food and she's like, look, uh, half cup of rice, and then these are my greens. Finally, we have greens on the plate.
That's awesome.
Right. So yeah.
I love that. It's truly like it gives us the ability as coaches to help others, or even just as athletes and competitors, to kind of lead by example and show that and help people to see without having to tell them. You know, obviously, when people hire us, we support them in the way that they need to be supported. And for you, that's fitness coaching. And I'm curious about your ebook too, because I know that you released an ebook for glute development, right?
Yes. So
Yes.
super excited. It was a project that I was working on for maybe 6 months. I was like, I get so many questions about glutes. And even now I try posting more videos of my workouts
Yeah.
as my body is just changing. And I feel like I need to just post more because of like my everyday things, because this is what I'm doing.
Yes.
And my glutes, when I first started, I trained once a week. And yeah, don't get me wrong, they were like high and bubbly, but they were not as big. And then 2 times a week, okay, saw some progress. Then 3 times a week, and it was game over. I
Yeah.
was like, they're sore, they're big, they're round, they're high, they're getting better. Um, and then I started doing more research on glute isolation, adding bands. Bands are like a staple for me, even in my shoulder routine. So that too. Um, but now I'm like, yeah, my glute ebook. is doing so well. I pretty much constructed a 12-week program of, yes, how you could build glutes in 12 weeks,
That's awesome.
incorporating bands, whether you're in the gym or at home, so that every 2 weeks, the technique changes. So there's different techniques, reps, sets, timing, tempo. When you add bands, when you don't add bands, the most beneficial glute exercises that you can crush and execute your glutes in these 12 weeks.
Love
So,
that.
yeah.
That is awesome. It's really cool too because you pursued something you're passionate about. You're showing others how to achieve goals that you've learned how to achieve, not just through personal experience, but through your education as well. And I know that before becoming a women's transformation coach, you were studying cosmetology, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
So what was that like? Like, was it hard for you to leave something you thought you wanted to do for so long to pursue this dream? Or was it like, what was that transition?
I don't know if you could agree, but you know how you grow up and you're like, oh, I want to be a makeup guru on YouTube. And I was like, I want to be that girl on YouTube. Like, this is what foundation I'm using today. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to school for this. Went to school, did a couple fashion shows. I ended up becoming a model. And then I was modeling for a bit and I was like, okay, I'd rather be a model. Then I got into fitness and I was like, I'm done with cosmetology, completely done. And then through cosmetology, through fitness, sorry, I was like, okay, now I actually want to pursue fitness. So then I got certified as a personal trainer. And then it actually took me 2 years until I started coaching. So as I was doing my certificate, I was serving like 2 to 3 jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was, oh goodness, those were the days. That's when I was exhausted. So I
Mm-hmm.
was serving and still competing at the same time. And yeah, that was really hard. Even last year for Van Pro, um, yeah, I was working at Cactus Club and I just wanted to eat everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I wanted all the bowls, the lava cake, like everything. And yeah, I wanted to steal fries. Like just one fry won't hurt. But it was like, no, I can't, right? I
Yes.
really, really wanted it. So after that, I was like, no, I'm done. I am not doing this. No more serving anymore. So you know what? I'm so blessed to be where I'm at right now and doing everything I love because I cannot do the fries. Like me right now, I'm hiding from my fridge and eating cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing what needs to be done in order to achieve the goal that you have. And I'm actually curious because I work with women on their relationship with food and with their body and their goals. And something that is interesting to me is the way people approach their preps and then how they come out of it. Do you have any, if this is like too pressing, let me know, but do you have any fears about coming out of this season? Knowing that you're already having like a lot of this food focus or like trying to get away from the kitchen?
No.
That's awesome.
Um, so one thing about me is like I'll have snacks in my house and I will not touch it. And during the off season too, um, no, I won't go for snacks really. Usually I'll go for like something I could have had during my on season, like protein pancakes I can still have. And that is something that like right after a show, I'd be like, oh, I want protein pancakes. It's crazy. Like I'll get the
Yes,
cravings now. And then
totally.
after the show, I'm like, give me tilapia.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. So weird. But it's always the things that you can't have is what you want in the moment. And then when you can have it, you're like, I don't want it.
Exactly. This is like such a good teaching moment because it's a great example of what happens when we have restriction. We become fixated. And when we become fixated, it increases our urge to have something or to create it. Same thing goes for money, time, love, attention, all these things. If it's restricted, we want it more. And that's, that's just normal. It's human behavior. What I think is the key is what you said, which is when you have the freedom to enjoy it, that fixation goes away. And so if you're listening to this and you're someone who's like, oh man, it's post show and I have all this freedom to eat now, but technically you really don't, because you're actually still like really restrictive and you're telling yourself, I can't have this, I can't have that, you're likely going to continue to increase that urge. But if you tell yourself, I can have any of this, I can have it in moderation, I can enjoy this, the likelihood is you won't be dying to have it. It's like when yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's like when you go down Walmart and you're like, oh, look at all these yummy baked items when you're in prep. I'm gonna get this after my show and this after my show, and then you don't, because it doesn't matter anymore.
I know, exactly. And you're really just on, like, no matter where you place, you're just on a high that you competed that day. You know what I mean? So it's like you're not really thinking of all the treats that you were like, oh my God, I'm going to have a million treats I had on a list. No, you're probably going to have one and you're going to be so satisfied, right?
Yes, exactly.
My best advice to any new competitors would be like, yes, it's so nice to have these treats right after, but the blow up the day after, honey, I had cankles 2 years ago after a show and I said I'd never do it again. So I learned my lesson of, obviously you got to do it once to learn your lesson. And that feeling, if I know how I'm going to feel, I will not do something. So it's like drinking, personally, I won't drink because I know how I'm going to feel. Mm-hmm. And eating after a show, I'll choose certain foods and I'll definitely modify because I know how I'm going to feel, and I cannot afford cankles because I'm already lazy. I like to sit.
I love that. It's so funny. Like, we're all motivated by different things. And like, you're motivated by the pain that could come if you do go against, the best wishes of your body. And I think that's what it's about. We got to honor our needs, our body's needs, and what's going to feel right. And something I think is so important is like the Monday, let's say like the Monday after a show, right? Or even the Sunday after a show. This is like the best opportunity to reinforce the behaviors and habits you want to have throughout your whole entire improvement season. Like, let the Sunday and Monday, it's going to be hard. You're going to be like, well, I'll just have this cookie, or I'll just have this pizza, or it doesn't matter, I'm going to eat all this. It's like, no, let's actually focus on what's the habit you want to create. So we got to honor those commitments to ourselves. And I think it's, post show is a really important time to do that. Oh, yeah. And like you said, not having every single thing on the list, and learning from those who have done that, and knowing that it doesn't feel good, and always asking yourself too. You had a really good point there, which is, how am I going to feel after this? And that's a huge part of any decision we make, is bringing that mindfulness.
I was so self-conscious after. I was like, oh girl, cankles, like bloated. I did not look good at all, right? Yep. And it wasn't the greatest feeling. It's not even what I looked like. It's how I felt, like groggy, tired, remembering why I actually took those things out of my diet in the first place. Yeah. Right? So actually, bodybuilding has changed the way I eat. So now I look for like sugars that are stevia, monk sugars, anything that's like really plant-based, gluten-free, dairy-free, especially dairy-free. So I really just try and stick within like foods and meals that, are accepting to my stomach, so that I don't have issues, because I don't like being constipated and I don't like feeling groggy. No, girl, I don't. I live in pops. I don't like feeling groggy. So certain foods, I already know if I have white sauce mushroom pasta 2 days after my show, game over, I'm done. You know what I mean? So it's choosing certain meals right after. So I'll probably have like a steak or a burger, and that right there will be more satisfying than having like a white sauce pasta that I should really just work into the routine, right? Like a little bit after the show. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, with the sugars as well, like I would go for like something with stevia or, just not too high in sugar so you don't blow up. If you're going to have a cookie, have the cookie, but at least get your water beside you, you know what I mean? Or a digestive enzyme too to help break it down. But I wouldn't go binging on like sugar for sure.
Exactly, because it is about how you're going to feel. And I like how you said, just make it part of the routine after the fact, like not something that's just like a big sugar binge. Instead, it's like, well, how can I start incorporating this slowly into my routine? Just like anything else, you wouldn't jump right into an exercise you haven't done for months, full force, after an injury. That doesn't make any sense. Same thing applies here. We got to treat our body with respect in all levels. And you've considered yourself, and on the show you even said it, like a foodie, and you consider yourself to be like a sugar addict, and you love trying healthy versions of things, and you've talked now about the choices you make and how it's influenced your choices. And I'd love to know if you have any go-to meals or recipes. You did bring up protein pancakes, but I'm curious, like anything in your preps or improvement seasons that like you cannot get enough of.
Oh, the protein pancakes are my thing. Oh
How
my
do you
goodness.
make them?
So usually all you need is oatmeal. So I use gluten-free oats, egg whites, one egg, cinnamon, and half of a banana. So yes, right now I'm not having the banana,
Yeah.
but oh my goodness. Oh, you can also add baking soda so that it's like a little bit more fluffy.
Yeah.
But so delicious. And then I found a almond milk creamer that I use in my coffee to drizzle on top because I do not like the sugar-free maple syrups. No. I don't like them whatsoever. So I was like, okay, if I can't have regular maple syrup, I'm just going to use this creamer, which is like a sweet cream. So it's phenomenal, but can't have that right now. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's totally okay. That's like something I do post-show.
Yeah, you'll look forward to
Um,
having a new, like that staple.
oh, so good. It's so good. It's so healthy. And then I just measured out to like what my breakfast for the day would have been anyways. So it just works out.
Yes.
The pancakes come out the way I'm supposed to have them. And it honestly just satisfies the craving right there. This week I've been going for protein ice cream. So I just use I start with a quarter cup of water, a few ice cubes, greens powder, and then a scoop of protein. And then usually I'd add frozen fruits in there too, um, just to get the consistency. That's why you want like more frozen ingredients in there,
Yes.
but no fruits in the diet. But it still tastes really good without the fruits. I'll just add like a tablespoon of peanut butter too. Oh, game
Yes.
over. So
Yes.
good, so good. That brings
Oh.
up my mood. Um,
You're speaking about language.
you know what else? Proats. Like
Yes.
right after a workout, proats are my
Oh,
favorite.
so warm and like filling and just like comforting. I don't know. There's like so many aspects to a good bowl of protein.
Right? Oh my goodness. So I'll do proats, I'll do oatmeal, and then I'll do a scoop of protein powder. I'll add glutamine in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then cinnamon, a little dash of salt. Game over. That's so good. So good.
Girl, see, this is the stuff that we got to talk about because, like, I think sometimes people get it in their head that they won't be able to enjoy it. But, guys, make a list. Like, if you're going to make a list of foods post show, make a list of the foods that you enjoyed, like, early on in your prep,
Mhm.
or things that you want to just be part of your lifestyle, like this, because it will make that post show phase so much easier. And also, just reinforces that this can be a real good lifestyle that you enjoy. Like there are certain meals that I look forward to after a show that I can't have necessarily towards the end of a prep. And I'm like, wow, I can't wait till I can have, like, it's so silly, but I'm like, I can't wait till I can have this meal, which is like, it's actually similar to what you described, the oats and the pancakes, like the protein pancakes. And I'll add like spinach and sometimes I add cocoa powder. It's like the little things, and I think we can look forward to those meals. And I like that, food is so much more than just fuel. It is an experience. I think we can honor food as an experience too. Don't
Exactly.
have to be so rigid as competitors. Like some people are reinforcing this idea like, oh, food should be completely neutral, unemotional, etc. for some people, maybe that's the case, but for the most part, like we can still embrace food as an experience, even as competitors. And it sounds like you've really learned how to do that for yourself.
Food can be really emotional, based on
Mm-hmm.
emotional eating. Because I know, like some days when my check-ins aren't gone well, or I'm just on myself. Like I am my biggest critic, and I just feel like it could be better. Like that right there will stress me out, and I'll be like, oh my goodness, like what can I eat? But I know I can't eat some certain things, right? And I just have to like re-talk to myself, reinforce that, like,
Yes.
okay, Shanice, tomorrow's a new day. If it didn't happen for you today, try harder tomorrow, but don't ruin what you worked so hard for a temporary satisfaction, right? So,
Yes.
and it's like, that's what I tell my clients, like temporary cravings are temporary, but your goals, they can be long-term. They can benefit you long-term too, right? And the best part about overcoming a temporary satisfaction is the mental strength that you get from it, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Man, I just love talking to you. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Of course.
I
And
have a question.
okay.
So what were you craving after your show?
I was craving first place. No, I'm just kidding. But I actually did. I was like, man, I'm craving a hug right now. Honestly, that's a good question. I wasn't craving anything. I know that probably sounds so stupid, like cliche, like, oh, this girl said she wasn't craving. I wasn't. Um, and I don't know, like sometimes I crave a lot of stuff and sometimes I
Yeah.
don't crave anything. And this time I was like, I don't really care where we go. I wanted to ride a bike. I wanted to feel freedom. I was really like emotionally craving things. I don't know. I've come a long way with my relationship with food. And not to say I'll never crave something post show, but usually post show I end up craving things like my Bam Body treats, or I crave like protes, like you said. um,
Honestly, like the hearty foods that
yeah,
actually taste good. It's honestly the way they make you feel, you don't feel shitty after, and you're like, okay, like I can still go on
exactly.
with my life.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I wasn't craving too much. Usually I end up craving Bam Body and I crave, yeah, like like sweets, but it just changes. This time nothing. I was a little sad to be honest, didn't get the outcome I wanted, even though I was super proud. And I think because I went into the show not like hyping myself up about any food or anything, and I took a very different approach this prep. It was much more of like it just was a long, 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 long prep to the point where I had to find sustainability and maintenance where I don't think I felt too deprived. But we'll see how I feel in 3 weeks.
Yeah, the best part about it is you still have 3 weeks to become better.
Yes, exactly. And that's going to continue, forever. And that's the beauty of this sport. Like you said, it's all about beating ourselves and
Exactly.
becoming the champion, for ourselves always.
Exactly. Like every time you beat yourself. And that's the thing. It's not about anybody else in the sport. It's really about you. So like I really don't even pay attention to who is around me. I
Yeah.
really just focus on what can Shanice do? How can I become better? You know what I mean? How can you show up better tomorrow? And honestly, it's the little things that you do or don't do. Like
Exactly.
if I skip a day at the gym, somebody else out there is working harder than you, Shan. You got to get up. You got to get up.
Mm-hmm.
If you eat that cookie, somebody else is being strict. You got to put that cookie down, right? So it's like certain things like that. You got to remind yourself, like, you can be better always.
Always, exactly. Respecting ourselves enough to know that and to continue to pursue, even when maybe the outcome isn't what we wanted. It's like, well, you've come so far, you deserve to continue going after your goals and your dreams, and everything will come together. I like to like future pace too, and I'm sure you've done this as you have dreams of stepping on the Olympia stage, but those moments where you're going to look back, you're going to be on the Olympia stage and you're going to look back and be like, do you remember that time when it was a really hard year? 2020 was really hard and I lost my dad and I had a big breakup and I was moving and all these things happened all at once, but I had support and love and all these things that mattered, and I still showed up for myself when I needed to. And it's like, those are the moments that we remember when we push through.
oh my goodness, I'm like pinching myself, laughing at myself every single day. I'm like, I always knew God is good, but I was like, how? No idea, like, how? How? Like, my life right now, I could cry every single day, tears of joy. It's been I've been introduced to so many new opportunities that it's just been like overwhelming. But I feel
Wow.
like because I had to switch that outlook of like, why is this happening to me when it was happening for me? I need to
Yes.
step into a new light of who I'm supposed to become.
Love that. That is the mindset. Actually, what kind of opportunities have presented themselves that you've been really excited about?
Oh, so first I signed with HD Muscle.
Heck yeah. Congrats. That's awesome.
So they're my new supplement group. I'm actually wearing their sweater right now. So
Cute.
comfy, like I rushed home just to put it on.
That's awesome.
So I just signed with them. They are amazing. Like we do Zoom calls so often and they just pump up the team and really
Wow.
they're just so overall involved. You know what I mean? They want to see you do well. And it's not just about their products or their supplements. They genuinely care about their athletes. And they're always checking in, you know what I mean? Like just encouraging as well too. Very supportive, uplifting, and the products, honestly, the formulas that they've placed in their products, unreal. So that too, I'm very, very happy about. And they're from Ontario. So that's another where I'm from. So it's nice. Also, I signed with a meal prep company here in Calgary for Bite Me Meals, a meal prep
That's
service.
awesome.
So, oh girl, the food is phenomenal. And you know I love food. So
Yes. Yes. So we know you are not lying.
yeah, so that too is awesome because it's probably been a year now since I've been in Calgary. And honestly, I really didn't put my name out there. I was really just stagnant. Like I was just chilling, just chilling. I didn't know my potential, right? Until I hit a hard rock and then I was forced to step outside my light. I was like, okay, like the world is expecting more from me. My coach expects more from me. HD Muscle, they definitely expect a lot from their athletes. You know what I mean? So I need to show up. All the people who helped me when I hit rock bottom, I need to show up. You know what I mean? So now that I've been doing more, like I post more, I got a tripod so I can do my own videos rather than asking people to take them for me. You know what I mean? Just really going hard on social media in my life, doing so much. And it's been a full circle.
Wow. I love that. It's amazing how these opportunities present themselves sometimes when we least expect it. And then when they do, it's like everything that we've been aligning towards or wanting or, asking for really. Just really cool that you've been able to create that for yourself. And do you feel like having those sponsors supports you in your journey as a bodybuilder? Or like, do you feel like it was something that you wanted when you became an IFBB Pro, or has it just kind of shown up for you? Was it something you expected?
No, definitely didn't expect it. Honestly, I'm gonna be very honest. I don't use that many supplements. I'm more of like a protein, glutamine, and anything with a fat burner in it. Those three.
Yes.
That's pretty much all I use. So I'm honestly not keen, and I don't use it like a crazy amount. Like I'm pretty small, so it's not like any 2 scoops of protein. Like a protein tub lasts a month or 2 months.
Yeah.
So, it's a blessing to have them more so as like guidance and support. And they're so informative. I learned so much from them and they want you to just be your best as an athlete and an individual, right?
Mhm.
So it's a blessing to have them beside me and to represent them as a brand because they are such good people and such a great company and the athletes behind them worldwide. I'm getting to know some of them and I'm followed and admired some of them for so long that it's so cool to be a part of the team and I'm like I can't wait to meet you.
That's
uh,
so awesome.
yeah,
It's a community.
it's a community. Yeah, exactly.
I love
So
that. No, that is so awesome. And congratulations on those achievements as well and being part of it. They're very lucky to have you. And I know you feel the same way about them too. And you did provide so much amazing insight just throughout this whole episode. Like, man, I'm looking at my notes. We covered everything from training to nutrition to traveling to pushing yourself, mindset, self-care, like so much stuff. But I want to ask you if there's anything that you would say. So best advice for a newbie competitor and then best advice for a girl who's on her road to pro.
okay, so my best advice for a newbie competitor, get AirPods or or headphones. Honestly, like it's about showing up for you and nobody else. There will be times where you're looking at the person beside you, behind you, in front of you, but don't psych yourself out. I feel like the more love you give off, the more it's a full circle and the energy manifests around you, right? So if you stay in your zone, stay in your lane, stay focused on how hard you've worked, too hard to build up any type of anxiety, just listen to your music until you hit that stage. And always show up to do your best. Who can you be tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, who can you be in this very next second? You can always change and you can always evolve into somebody better. And remember that there are people who are going to be inspired by you, even if they don't tell you that. You want to lead by an example.
Yes.
For on your way to pros, what would I say? Pretty much the same advice. But honestly, it took me a while to turn pro. I think I did 9 shows. And I didn't have a coach. And I think having a coach really, really helped me to get further. Like, I feel like if I had a coach when I first started, I would have been a whole lot further. But you know what? Trusting in God's timing, everything happens for a reason. And sometimes you lose those battles, so it makes you stronger. You know what I mean? So your hunger is even more driven. So you're lit. Your fire is lit. Sometimes you got to crumble for you to be like, okay, this is what is going to make me. You know what I mean? So you got to lose some battles. You got to take some L's to win. And that's what's going to drive your hunger. And you know what? I always look up to the pros. I always looked at myself as well as a pro, even before I turned pro. So when I got into my off season, I'd be like, what would the pros be doing? Like, what would Angelica be doing right now? I don't think she would be binge eating. I don't think she would be going way too crazy off her diet, because she does have an amazing physique, even on her off season. Right. So it's like, I always think like, what is a pro doing, or what is an Olympian doing during their off season, or on those moments that nobody can see them? How would their mindset be? Right. So I put myself in that position to be like, if they're practicing every single day, I should practice every single day. You know what I mean? Just dedicate your time to, if you want to be the best, you got to honestly believe that you can be the best and do the best you can.
Believe you can be the best and embody it.
Believe that you're in that position even before you get to that position. So I believed I was a pro. I actually had a vision board made last year that had turning pro, and now I have Olympia on this year's one. But last year it was turning pro, and I believed that I was a pro even before I turned pro. And I was just training like one. I was like, I want to look like one. I want to be one. I want to walk like one. I want to just be one.
Yes. And now Olympia is the next step.
Yes. Yeah.
That's going to be awesome. Man, we're going to remember this, because we're going to look back and be like, maybe in a few weeks, we'll be like, look, you did it. You qualified.
Oh, you and I are both going to be on this stage.
Yes, it'll happen. I believe it 100%. And we're working towards it every single day. And you're so close. You can taste it already. You're already becoming this version of you. You're showing up as the version of you and the athlete that achieves that goal, which is what matters. And that's so awesome. And I just appreciate all the insight that you've shared with us on this podcast today, and for, going the extra mile and opening up about different things in your life and also in your processes. And it means a lot, and I really appreciate it.
I honestly appreciate you for taking the time to sit with me. Honestly, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And honestly, I hope to meet you in person one day.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I would love that. Whenever I come and watch you on the Olympia stage, we'll meet up, and then hopefully even before that too, but that would be amazing.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel like bikini girls, they come together and it's literally a community on Instagram. So
It
that's the
is.
beautiful thing about making friendships on here as well. Like it's so addicting because like I meet my friends, a lot of my friends actually on Instagram through competing.
Yeah.
And it's because we have like similar goals and similar lifestyles that we just mesh really well. So I'm just like, it's beauty. It's a beauty that the sport can bring women together like this, where it's not even catty. It's more like sisters.
Yes, it is. I love that. That's literally like when I started this show, I was aware that that was kind of true, but it wasn't until like this show, like I started really getting immersed into it, that I realized what a community it is and how connected I've become to a lot of the guests who have been on, the listeners. Like it's just so amazing. And of course, I want people to be able to connect with you too. So do you mind sharing really quick where people can find you, connect with you, maybe even get your ebook?
Yes, guys. So my ebook is on my website at www.shen, S-H-E-N, case.com, or you can find me on social media on Instagram at ShenXO, that's with a double N _, IFBB Pro, or you can find me under Team Atlas somewhere on his page.
Awesome.
Somewhere on his page. You'll see my name somewhere on there.
Yes, trust me, you guys will. And I'm so appreciative of your time again. And I'm going to make sure that I put all of those links and everything in the show notes page. So you guys, that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you scroll all the way to the category section, you'll see Shenese's name. You can click on that and you'll get full episode notes and timestamps. So, when you're thinking back on what did she say about XYZ? What was that recipe she gave? Boom, it'll be on the episode timestamp. So make sure you refer to those if you need to, bookmark it so you can always refer back to it. And again, reach out to Shenese, let her know what your main takeaways were, things that you appreciated, and of course, connect with her further. So thank you guys so much for listening, and Shenese, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.